Welcome to Demystifying Divinity with Joanna and Jenny.
Hi, my name is Joanna. I channel messages from Spirit in order to help people remember who they are so they can embody their power.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I use intuitive astrology to help people remember their blueprints and soul contracts. And together, we're demystifying divinity, one conversation at a time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Demystifying Divinity with Joanna and Jenny. Joanna, how the heck are you doing?
I am good, Jenny. How are you?
Good. I'm so good. I'm excited. I'm putting Joanna on the spot. She has no idea.
What else is new?
How fun. Are you feeling anxious? Do you love it? What's happening? What's going on?
No, I actually don't feel anxious. I'm just going to go with whatever wants to come through me.
Okay, and you're going to love this because I have to bring this up because Venus is going retrograde, okay? And Venus is your chart ruler, Joanna, okay? You are ruled. Joanna is ruled by Venus. Joanna is divinely feminine. And so we need to talk about Venus retrograde. I'm going to talk about the astrology of what that means just for a hot minute. And then I want to give some hot tips on what not to do in Venus retrograde. And then I'm going to tap into Joanna's beautiful spirit team because I know she knows all about Venus because she's from Venus, I think, because ruled by Venus. And so she's going to give us even more insight into this. Does this sound spectacular, yay or nay?
Yay. Sounds exciting. I have no clue.
I know, you don't even know, right? Okay, first of all, Venus. Every 18 months, it goes retrograde. So we're used to Mercury going retrograde. We joke about it in common day. Venus must be in retrograde. My email isn't sending, blah, 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 right? Venus goes into retrograde quite a bit, right? And throughout the year. But only every 18 months does Venus go retrograde. So we're not as used to it. It is an inner planet. So we're more used to feeling Venus's energy than we would say Uranus or Pluto. That's way out there. But when Venus goes retrograde, we definitely do feel it. This year, it goes March 1st to April 12th. And the shadow period of that, so there's some shadow vibes, if you will, on other end, January 18th to May 20th. Okay, so that's the window of Venus going retrograde for 2025. On my birthday, Venus will go back, because it's going backwards, not really, but it goes back into Pisces. So it's currently in Aries, like common day right now as we're recording this. It's at about 8 degrees Aries. It's going to go back into Pisces at the end of March, and then it'll go direct also in Pisces. So Venus loves being in Pisces. Venus loves being in Pisces. Venus does not love being in Aries. But, okay, this is what we're going to expect. I'm just telling you now as an astrologer, this is what we're going to expect during that time frame. Again, the shadow, we're already feeling it. We're already in it, January 18th to May 26th. So dramas, lots of dramas, friendship dramas. Friendship breakup, friends getting mad at us, ever experience the exes contacting us. So if we don't get the text from the ex, we might dream about the ex. So all things romance, friendships, because Venus rules romance, female friends, drama. So just because it comes back, should we always go back to it, Joanna? Should we? If that ex calls us.
Wait. Look what I wrote.
What'd you say?
We can't go back.
For heaven's sakes. Right there, we had a telepathic moment. You witnessed it here, folks.
There you go. Before you asked it.
Friend gets back to you and says, oh, I'm so sorry. Like they put you through the ringer. That girlfriend of yours put you through the ringer. Does that mean that you say, oh, don't worry about it, and then you just go ahead and have cocktails with them this Friday night? Is that what you should do? Okay? So just expect all the dramas and the exes and the old friends. The other hot tip from your friendly astrologer here. Starting a new romance during the Venus retrograde period might not be your best interest.
I just heard no.
So Joanna's guide are already piping in on this hot topic. Okay. Having a hot romance. If you are in the mood to go out and have some fun, go for it. I'm not telling you not to go for it, but if you're expecting this is the one that you're going to marry and all that jazz, no. Okay. Venus retrograde will not allow for that. And I have to say, and I hate to be fear-based, but I'm just laying it out for you. If you are getting married during the Venus retrograde period, I'm not telling you to cancel the wedding.
Just move the date.
I'm just telling you, maybe don't sign. Okay. So you could do it. Say you've already got all the non-refundable dollars and there's no way you can cancel. Okay. Just make it legal later. Go to the city hall in like past May 26th. So what you're thinking, oh, she's silly. This sounds woo-woo.
Yeah, that's okay. Fine.
I'm just
That's
telling
okay.
you, you sign on the dotted line during that period for a marriage, you might be expecting a marriage full of hardships. It's time again.
What I'm getting is that in this period, we are much more likely to make decisions that are based out of fear.
Thank you, Joanne.
Is that what the astrology says?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
The other
Thank you.
from your friendly astrologer, tattoos, cosmetic surgery, Botox. Okay, say you do Botox regularly. You already booked it, like you have a regular booking, probably going to be okay. If you're going in for a facelift, you should probably rebook, okay? You're getting rhinoplasty, probably rebook it, okay? Because that's a big deal. Whereas, and cutting your hair, like if you go and cut all my hair off, like I don't think you should do that during Venus retrograde. It comes up a lot in the astrology. I mean, you see it time and time again. So those are some hot tips. Joanna keeps saying yes. So it's like her guides are smart. Okay. And what happens during a Venus retrograde? What it's all for is to rethink, reanalyze. It's all those words. Give it a look. So if so-and-so X calls you, oh, I love you. Remember the hottest time.
Sit on it. Sit on it.
Rethink. Okay. Because Venus is all things love and romance. It's also money. So like big, this is like, we're talking big, like buying the house, like slapping down all your money in some kind of big investment. Maybe not during Venus retrograde because Venus rules money. Okay. Something so amazing about the Venus cycle. This is an 8-year cycle. And I'm not going to give this enough justice. Some astrologers out there, they actually specialize in Venus and Venus cycles. And it's fascinating because the 8-year cycles of Venus are called the rose of Venus. So each petal takes 18 months. And if you were to Google what is the rose of Venus, the 8-year cycle, it looks like sacred geometry. It looks like a rose. It's absolutely stunning. So the Sumerian goddess named Inanna held the rose. So anyways, it's a beautiful, you could Google Venus and all the wonderful things, but basically it's all about rethinking all those beautiful Venusian things, beauty, what you want to do to your face, what you want to do to your hair. It's all those things. It's also all things romance and friendships, especially with female friends and money. So Venus is going retrograde near the beginning of the year, and there's so much turmoil happening at the end of March. Joanna and I are actually doing a workshop at the equinox because we spotted all this energy. I spotted it on the charts. Joanna spots it with her spirit team. And Venus is doing this retrograde starting at the beginning of March. And what it is, it's allowing us, it's giving us permission to jump on a new timeline when it comes to all those things. And we know money brings up things about lack. We know beauty brings up things about lack, right? So we are given an opportunity by this beautiful Venus retrograde to give ourselves a hard look about lack, about beauty, about friends, about romance, about relationships. So I gave you the hot astrology tips, but I can't help but feel like this is such a powerful activation for all of us. And Joanna, since you are a Venus-ruled human, please do share your feelings on this powerful Venus retrograde that we are about to step into. We're already in the shadow period as we record this. So please do take it away, Joanna and team.
So it's about 6-week window. Is that what it is?
Yeah, March 1 to April 12. It's about 40 days. It's about 40 days.
So I obviously don't know anything about astrology except the basics, very basics. But what I'm getting very strongly and very clearly is, well, first and foremost, avoid drama at all cost. So, but that should be every day. But also what I was getting is a period of elevated emotions, which I guess could be dramatic. Let me just tune in. Tell me more about this. This is not the time to ignore your shadows. So I have a feeling that I suspect that there is going to be some shadows that will come up. So here's what I'm getting. You know how you were talking about that this is not a time to make major decisions? Now, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't make a decision, but if you hold off with making the decision for 6 to 8 weeks, and then at the end of that period, you evaluate and you go, no, this is really what I want. Go ahead and do it. But it's almost like in 2 months' time, you might go, I wish I didn't do that, right? Doesn't mean you don't have to do. I mean, you do you.
Yes.
But it's almost like there is a more probability of whatever it is that we do, it's going to come with some drama down the road.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does.
What I'm saying? Because it is very much a time of heightened visibility to how we perceive ourselves. So it looks like this period is about seeing things we haven't seen before within ourselves. And a lot of these will be shadows. And I believe 2025 is like shadow galore. But it's a heightened perception of one's shadows. So yeah, you might be having a fear staring you in the face and you're like, okay, what am I going to do about it this time? Am I going to let it rule me or am I going to do something about it? Easier said than done. Emotionally, it may feel like a lot of hard work. Why does it feel like a lot of hard work? Because processing heavy emotions is hard work, right? In order for us to become lighter human beings, we have to do a lot of processing of our old emotions. And I feel like the period you're talking about is heightened in the probability of that happening. In other words, it's almost like we're going to have these exaggerated feelings and they're going to be coming up for us. Not necessarily because something is wrong in the moment, but that something is being triggered. So it feels like a period of a lot of triggers.
Oh, I love it. This is like, we need heart activations before all these the outer planets that I've always been talking about that are all changing. They're all changing. Right? 4 out of the 5 outer planets are moving into new signs in 2025. So this Venus retrograde period is happening before all that's happening. And at the end of March as well. But it's like the heart cracking open experience that we need,
preparing us
for this new era that is for us. That's the way I feel. And Venus is, okay, so there's 2 major feminine energies in our birth charts. The queen is the moon. The queen is the moon. And we study that moon. And we talk to the moon. And we feel the moon. And she moves, we got the new moon, we got the full moon. That happens like throughout every single month. That queen rules us. We are so in tune with the moon, right? And we write journals about it and we write to her. We know this. Venus is the 2nd divine feminine in our natal birth chart. So this is a personal planet. These are the closer to Earth as opposed to the outer planets. And so I just feel like this divine feminine energy is just urging us to step into those triggers, move through them, to crack it open, because cracking open experience for 2025 is bringing. Do you feel that energy as well, Joanna? Take it away.
This energy is inviting / encouraging us to feel deeply.
That is so divine feminine.
To feel, yeah, it is actually to feel deeply. And I love what you were saying, because you were basically saying something they talked to me about earlier, which is us being in a transition period.
Yes.
So what is it? I'm going to ask you, what does it mean to you to be in a transition period?
Yeah, like you're not here, you're not there, you're about there.
Somewhere in between.
Yeah. You know it.
Yeah. It's almost like, what the fuck is happening? That kind of thing.
One.
That one, exactly. And in my experience and working with clients, transitions are not overly comfortable because they represent change. And whenever we are faced with change, things often come up because humans don't like change. We don't like change. We want to stay in one place and be comfortable, but that doesn't work because things are always changing. So we're amidst this big change and we have to let go of the past in order so that we can experience our new future. And I feel what you're talking about is this heightened perceptions of energy. Once we process those feelings and emotions, then we are essentially shifting into a higher frequency. This higher frequency cannot be experienced until this other lower frequency, I'll use that word, emotions. We cannot experience the heightened vibration until we let go or process the old vibration that is stuck in our bodies most of the time, which is the unhealed hurt, unhealed pain. So this might actually be saying too that in the next several weeks, there might be some old unresolved issues that will come up to the surface, the triggers. And it's a good time to really, because when a trigger comes up, the trigger tells us a certain truth that we hold, right? And it's time to look at this truth and really go, is this really my truth right now? Or is it something that has been, but it doesn't have to be any longer? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. Don't need to read the story.
Yeah, so it's that reevaluation.
Reevaluate, rethink, reanalyze. That's what retrogrades do for us.
Yeah, rethink, reevaluate. That's a big one. Yeah. So again, if you're wanting to get married and you're like, no, I got to do it now. You know what? Sit on it for 6, 7, 8 weeks and just at the end of 8 weeks, ask yourself, is this really what I want? Chances are you'll say no, and chances are you'll say yes. I mean, you don't know because you're not there yet, right? So I want to say, hold your horses. But the main message is, we're not going back. We're not going back.
We're not going back. And so I love that Venus is going back into Pisces on March 27th. And then March 29th, we've got the eclipse. And then March 30th, we've got Neptune going into Aries. Like it's all happening. And so we've got the beginning of March to reevaluate and to crack it open our hearts and look at the shadows. Like it's the time for us to soften at the beginning of March, because the end of March, it's going to start happening and it's going to be fast. So we've got the beginning of March with Venus retrograde. It's just when you really look at the cosmos and you start looking at, okay, these dates and these times and these shadow periods, and then when does it actually activate? It's too brilliant. It's like, who could have even thought of this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this random thing.
Who did this? What a great architect.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is absolutely brilliant that we have this softening period in early March.
And spring is about giving birth. In order to give birth, you have to relax. If you're restricted, that's not a good idea to give birth when you're like this, right? It's about giving birth. It's about relaxing. It's about opening up. It's about opening up. And that's like, 22nd or 21st is the first day of spring. And this is basically kind of in that area.
The
right?
equinox, we've got eclipses. I mean, March is gonna be something. Us astrologers, it's not just me that keeps saying it. Like we look at the chart of March and it's like, what? And so when I saw that Venus was retrograde here too, I said, we have to talk about this, how the divine feminine is encouraging us to soften, to surrender too, like surrender. Imagine that. Surrendering to
That's
surrender
a tough one.
to the shadows, surrender to that violent dream you had last night. It's like, what? Okay. I better look at that then. I better go through that.
So from your perspective, what could people expect, like in mundane terms? What could that look like in our physical world?
It is like the ex-boyfriend either texting you, emailing, calling you, or showing up in your dream state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what? I thought I let it go, or what? This means he loves me. I knew it. It's like letting go of a love story that isn't real. Like it's It's like, you've got to let that go. Friendships too. Being so mad at a friend and she's not calling me, I'm not calling her, like this sort of BS.
Drama. Yeah.
All that drama, and then having a dream about it or just not stopping thinking about it. It's like, wait a second, I have to reevaluate this. Why am I holding on to this? Why am I holding on to this story? Whether it's romance, whether it's a friend that did you wrong, whether it's an ex-boyfriend that did you wrong. If it's coming up, whether in a real message or just in your own beautiful mind, it's time. It is time to give it an honest look, journal about it, pray on it, whatever it is that you do. It's time, because new earth, new world, new timelines, it's coming, especially end of March. I know I get on this, I start yelling almost when I start talking about the end of March. She's scratching. I'm like, oh my God, end of March is coming. End of March is coming. But we have got to prepare ourselves for new timelines. And there's so much opportunity. I'm excited. Personally, I'm excited. And does that mean I have zero shadows and triggers? Of course.
No, of course not.
Of course, I don't mean that. What I mean is I am excited for new growth, like you said, and something new, big changes coming.
And you and I, Jenny and I, have experienced a lot of fast movement and flow. Like even in the things that we're creating together, it's just when you're on the ball, when you're in the flow, you're just in the flow. So that message that you said earlier, that it's going to be very fast, I can already feel it.
Yes.
You know what else they said? And this is a hard one. I have to accept. I have to admit, practicing more forgiveness.
Oh yeah.
So especially if you have people pissing you off, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to stay mad at them forever. You're just hurting yourself.
That's not the way Venus plays.
Yeah.
Venus does not like that. Let's take a page out of the Venus book. Venus wants nice things, like nice surroundings, beautiful colors,
pleasure, softness.
So do you think Venus wants some kind of uptight, out of my way fight?
No.
Let's write awful messages to strangers on the internet.
Yeah.
Venus does not like that.
I'm actually hearing the word surrender.
Surrender.
That's a tough one.
It's a word to think about and surrender to it. Like, because there's lots of stuff that's coming up for us to transmute.
Make an attempt to forgive. Because when we forgive, it's equivalent to taking the noose off of our nests. We're actually freeing ourselves by forgiving. Forgive, thank you. And I know everybody knows this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Forgiveness is not giving someone an excuse for something they have obviously done that's wrong. It does not mean that. It simply means that by forgiving this person, you're no longer letting their energy affect you in the now moment. You're basically, thank you. We talked about empowerment in the last podcast. Self-forgiveness and forgiving another is actually taking your power back.
It is.
Yeah, that's a big one. And I think we could use a little bit more forgiveness in our world. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. But it's a process. It takes, okay, thank you. They're saying sometimes forgiveness takes lifetimes. So we hold on to a shit for a long, long time. And I feel like this Venus alignment is saying, do you really want to hold on to it just a little bit longer? Because guess what? You don't have to. You don't have to. You have a choice. You can let go.
We are being activated to go, to surrender, and to envision a world with nice things, with pleasure, like friends that love you, with lovers that love you. Like, imagine that. Hold on to that. Why are you holding on to him? He treated you like crap.
Yeah.
And so, the exes come crawling back at Venus retrogrades. As do the old friends that were not, the lesson's over, right? Just like the ex-boyfriend.
You know what I just got? Forgiveness doesn't mean you take your friend back. Forgiveness simply means, you know what, I choose to no longer be friends with you, but I forgive you. It doesn't mean you have to become chummy friends again. It doesn't mean that. You're just like, okay, lesson is done. Thank you. I'm moving on to something better. Yeah. Sometimes forgiving a person can create a different relationship for sure.
Maybe,
but it doesn't always mean that.
And it's into the retrograde to go out for cocktails with her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm just seeing like I want to call it as a Venus energy that's showing up, and she's showing up being pregnant and very vulnerable, and she's about to spread her legs because she's going to give birth. That's a very vulnerable place to be.
It is.
Giving birth to new ideas, new perceptions, new levels of empowerment. In our last podcast, we talked about empowerment and what we can actually do in a physical life to be and feel more empowered, to feel, because we're already powerful. So that's what I'm getting as far as the Venus subject.
I love that. And just what we also talked about was soul contracts. Just thinking, if you can forgive somebody, just saying thank you, the Ho'oponopono prayers. So you and I love you, with keeping in mind, I love you. You were my soul family. We agreed to this. We agreed to this agreement. Now it's over. Now I'm going to cut cords. Archangel Michael's amazing at helping cutting cords. Maybe we could do that in a podcast.
Yes.
And saying thank you and I love you and it's over.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm now giving birth to a new story.
And to piggyback on that, forgive yourself for having been in that relationship or in that situation or whatever it was. Forgive yourself for that. If you knew better, you do better. Not that it's bad or it's not a judgmental statement, but it's forgiving yourself, because sometimes we can forgive a person, but we don't forgive ourselves. So we hold ourselves hostage. And what is being held hostage? It's being held back. We hold ourselves back by holding ourselves hostage, right? So forgiving, I mean, I've done things in my life, especially when I was very young, that it took me 40 years to really forgive myself, because I did something that I'm not very proud of. I had no other ways of dealing with it when I was very young, but it took me I still hold to it a little bit. It's a tough one, but I constantly have to learn how to forgive myself. It's not easy. It's a process. Yeah. I can't just say, here's, $4 worth of forgiveness. Here, I can't give you forgiveness. It has to come from within, right? Yeah. And also, they're saying, if you want to forgive somebody, mean it. Don't say you forgive them, but you actually don't. Mean it. Mean it. I forgive you. And inside is like, oh, you're a little fucker. If you want to forgive somebody, forgive them and then move on.
Yeah.
Lesson learned. Thank you very much. Yeah. Next.
It can happen.
Yeah.
These kind of things really can happen during a Venus retrograde period. All these things we're talking about, all things to do with romances and friendships, especially with females and with money too. I haven't quite talked about that enough, but that lack mentality, that's something for you. If you're thinking, well, I'm not having any female drama, no romance drama, for you, it might really be like letting go of those lack stories around. Because Venus wants to deliver all the money to you.
Yes, it wants to be in the flow. So if we're not in that experience, how are we blocking the flow? How are we standing in the way of the flow? Because I feel like feminine wants to flow. That's fluidity. That's what the divine feminine is. And that's Venus, right?
And there is a millionaire of you somewhere. If that works for you, if that vision works for you, you are living as a millionaire somewhere. So why not surrender to that and just saying, okay, I'll let go of all these old stories, because obviously this timeline with so-and-so calling me again and so-and-so, gossiping about me or whatever it is, obviously this is not the timeline where I'm a millionaire. So I surrendered all that. I'm going to forgive. I'm going to let it go, because I want to step onto the millionaire timeline.
Yeah. And make sure
that for us.
And what they're saying is, make sure that, let's use the idea of being a millionaire. Just make sure that you don't believe that being a millionaire somehow will make you feel more important. No, backwards. Learn to feel important and see how it flows to you, right? Because a lot of the time, well, not all of it. Sometimes we do things because we want validation, we want acknowledgement, we do all these things, but that's still something external. It has to come from the inside. And I feel like Venus is basically asking us to own it, own your power of creativity, because we're all creators. We co-create our life 24/7 without even realizing that that's what we're doing, right? So do you want to show them our little manifesting journal?
Speaking of creations.
Yes, what we've created.
Oh, You can now get this on Amazon, everyone. Look how beautiful this creation is. And what we've done is we've created a mandala. We've told you our story. We told you how we got to create this beautiful journal together. And then what we did is we give you a mandala. We show it to you. You can color it with your coloring crayons. So for instance, like here's one. And then Joanna asked her guides for spirit guidance on each mandala. This one is peace and joy are my birthright. I choose my own destiny. And then you go to the journal prompt for that particular mandala. And then there's other pages to do more journaling. Yeah. So we've given you 20 mandalas.
And each mandala is infused with a message that's supposed to strike a core within you. So it's supposed to trigger some things within you so that you can contemplate on it. But actually, it's also a manifesting tool, which is interesting. My guides kind of gave me this idea. When I'm in manifestation space, we're in our magician space. Your inner child is your magician. It's your genius.
Yes.
When you get into activity like coloring, you're actually employing your inner genius. And when you're in your inner genius frequency, when you're in your creativity, envisioning or intending something you want to experience allows for that experience to be more flowing to you because you're not in resistance to it. Because when you're coloring, you're just in the flow. You're just feeling good. You're just feeling it. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like a perfect Venus retrograde activity. And to just grab, like, here's one, it has spaces and there's a butterfly. So what you do is you just color. You get creative.
My guide said one of the last episodes to share why my team believes that this journal is important. It's a pretty simple tool, but it's basically a tool to get yourself more, to get more in touch with yourself, to get more in touch with your creativity, for your divine feminine, with your inner child. And your inner child, believe it or not, is usually the one that's responsible for your decisions. If you're making decisions based in fear, that's likely your inner child, scared and afraid. So this is to help get your inner child to come out and be more playful. So most people, in my experience, I'm sure in yours too, are disconnected from one's inner child. I see that all the time. But that's for another episode.
That is perfect. That's a perfect tie-in to this Venus retrograde energy of just getting into that flow, surrendering, forgiving, letting go. And sometimes you just need to color. Sometimes you just need to go for a walk just to get out of the monkey mind.
Of the head. Yeah. So with that said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. And we look forward to chatting with you on our next episode. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And please share this fab convo with someone who you love.